The story kicks off inside a classroom. We see a girl who's completely freaked out because she has to go into the monster's realm for her test. The guy sitting next to her is trying to spook her even more, saying, the last time they did this test, 3 students got stuck in the realm and the monsters choked them out until they were dead. Meanwhile, the teacher steps in, quieting down all the students. She tries to reassure them, saying, don't worry, guys. Based on what we've learned, we can handle these monsters super easily. At the exact same time, our hero, Yan, is dead asleep, not giving a crap about anything. Suddenly, he wakes up, excited and hyped, muttering, yes, I finally got a pentakill last game. All the students around him are totally baffled that he's not scared of the monsters at all and is still chill enough to play games, even though they're about to enter the realm. But Yan is actually confused too. Wait, I just got my first pentakill ever. How did I suddenly end up here? Then a terrible headache hits him. He realizes that in this world, monster spirits have been resurrected. These monsters kept attacking cities and killing off the survivors. Because of this, the area where humans live has been shrinking little by little. To protect the last human city, monster masters were born. These masters can control certain monsters, and through that control, they can fight the other monsters. We also learn that everyone in this world, when they turn 5, can awaken their power and contract a monster. After that, the contract or the monster can never be changed. Plus, if someone manages to earn more points, they can contract more monsters in exchange. People who can't contract any monsters are just regular laborers. Those who can contract 2 monsters are considered average, and those who can contract 3 are the geniuses. When Yan hears all this info, he's shocked. I actually time traveled to the future, he thinks. He then remembers the system he has, which lets him increase his monster contract limit infinitely. He realizes he could contract millions of monsters without any restriction. After he finishes his thinking, he sits down in his chair, pulls out his phone and says, let me play a quick game to chill my nerves. The teacher sees him on his phone and gets mad. We're about to go into the monster realm and you're still calm enough to play games. By the way, since you've studied all about monsters, let me ask you a few questions. I want to know what you'd do if you were attacked by a monster. Right then, a mission pops up for Yan from the system. Allow your teacher to pierce your defense. Yan doesn't get what the system means, but he answers the question. Since it's a fire monster, I'd obviously grab a fire extinguisher and put it out. The whole class bursts out laughing at his answer, except for the teacher, who's seriously pissed. She demands the class shut up and keeps asking Yan other questions, but he gives weird answers to all of them. This keeps going until the teacher has had enough. She yells at him, Yan, get out of your seat and go to the back of the class, you're punished. Yan actually listens and starts moving to the back. Just then he gets a message from the system, mission accomplished. Then another message pops up, you got a gift and new skills for completing the mission. Yan is pumped when he reads this. This system is super generous to me. My original contract limit was for only half a monster, but now with the system's gift, it let me contract 2 right away. We go back to the teacher, who's telling all the students to be quiet. The test you're about to take is a general test. If you pass Test A, you'll join a prestigious university. If you pass Test B, you'll get 3 books. Test C, you get 2 books. And Test D, you'll join the beginner academy. She warns the students, don't push yourselves too hard and don't choose something that's above your level. For example, if you choose Test A and can't complete it, you won't even have a chance to join the beginner academy. She calls Yan and tells him to come back to his seat. Remember, your experience and skills are super weak. That's why you have to choose Test D. The teacher then asks the students to use their fingerprints to activate the screen and choose their monster test. Yan does this and the 4 options for the 4 tests appear. His friend next to him, Dean, whispers, let's both choose Test D, contract some weak monster, and go to the beginner academy together. Yan shakes his head. Level D monsters are super weak. If you want to choose that, go for it alone. Dean's face drops when he hears this. Come on, let's be realistic. Your skill level means you'll end up in the beginner academy anyway. Your skills are too weak. But Yan has already chosen level A. This completely shocks his friend next to him, who yells and screams at him for the stupid decision. Another student in the class sees what he chose and says, if you choose Test A with your skills and level, you're just gonna get yourself killed. But Yan ignores all of them and walks into the test, smiling at them. He then finds himself being summoned to a certain area in the test, a space. Yan looks at the group with him and says, looks like these guys chose the same test as me. 2 of the students are terrified when a person drops down from above and says, welcome to the haunted hospital. He then moves away and stands in front of all of them. You don't need to worry about a thing. I'm the instructor supervising your test. He continues, you're now in Kanglan City. The building you see behind me is what used to be the city's #1 hospital. The students, on the other hand, are horrified. This is the city that was overrun by monsters and everyone in it died, they say. They add 3 or 4 strong teams of monster warriors came here and they were all wiped out. They all immediately regret their decision to choose this test. The instructor steps in, calming them. Don't worry, the hospital is already surrounded by magic circles and the monsters outside won't be able to get in. Then he gives them a terrifying smile. The mission for this test is very easy. The main thing is that you have to survive here for a whole day. You're also required to contract your favorite monster. The instructor then moves closer to them and hands them something. For safety, each student will be given a transfer talisman. If any of you are in extreme danger, you can tear it and transfer directly back to the school. Plus, if you can contract or kill a monster, you'll be the best in this test. You'll be given a bead from the corpse of a dangerous monster, which could be worth up to $100,000. He finishes speaking and asks if anyone has any questions. When he sees they're all silent, he raises his hand and removes the magic circle from the hospital. The test starts now. At this point, all the students are clearly scared, but Yan is the opposite. He walks right past them and says, "Come on, let's go into the hospital and see if there are any cute nurses inside." The other students follow him when they hear him say this. The girl yells at the rest of the students, "Don't let that loser contract any monster at all." Yan opens the hospital door and sees that the walls and floors are covered in blood. They all go inside, following Yan, who's a few steps ahead of them. They continue on their path until they reach a hallway. As soon as Yan enters the hallway, he freezes and his face shows signs of terror. The students with him ask if there's a monster in front of him. Yan replies in a shaky, terrified voice, "There are more than 50 in the hallway right now." Suddenly, he runs towards them, screaming and warning them, "They're all coming for us." The students immediately run away, scared to death and screaming, "We don't want to die here." They rush out of the hospital and stand outside to catch their breath because they're exhausted from running. While they're standing there, one of the girls with them, Layla, is confused. "Where that student named Yan?" The guy wearing glasses, Lee, replies, "He's getting chopped up by the monsters, he deserves it." But suddenly, as they're talking, they hear the sound of laughter coming from the hospital's second floor. When they look up, they are shocked to see Yan standing there laughing at them. "This whole city only has about 20 monsters, so why did you actually believe me when I told you there were 50 here?" They all get mad at him when they hear this. Lee says, "You scared us just so you could keep the monsters to yourself." He then points at the purple-haired girl. "What you don't know is that Layla is level 3, that means she's 6 times your points. No matter how good the monsters inside are, we shouldn't waste them on a guy like you." Layla jumps into the conversation, speaking arrogantly to Yan. "That's right. Resources should go to useful people, not a nobody like you." Yan isn't interested in what they're saying at all. He leaves them and walks away. "You guys are free to do whatever you want." He thinks to himself, "I could use this situation to collect some good points from these people, as long as we're in a place like this." He keeps wandering around the hospital until he gets a message from the system. "A mid-level monster is in the room in front of you." Yan gets super excited when he sees the message because he finally found a monster in the hospital. He walks towards the room in front of him, but before he can enter, he sees 3 of the students who came down with him arrive. Lee, the guy with glasses, says stop and asks him if this is the place they should go. Then he orders him to leave immediately. Yan gives a sneaky laugh and lets them enter the room first. As soon as the 3 of them go in, they freeze in terror when they suddenly see a monster in front of them. Yan stands outside watching them and he's scared too. He thinks, "Luckily I let them go in first, otherwise I would have been the one suffering badly instead of them." He looks at them again. If things keep going like this, these 3 are gonna die. Before he even finishes speaking, he sees Layla running out of the room, bleeding from her mouth and falling to the floor. Yan tries to comfort her, asking what happened. Layla replies, "There's a monster inside, hanging from a fan. This monster can make people enter a dreamlike illusion. If I hadn't bitten my tongue, I would have never gotten out of that room." Yan thinks about what she said. It looks like severe pain is the only way to break these illusions. On the other side, the other 2 are crawling on the floor to get out of the room. Lee talks to Yan. "This is all your fault. You're the one who made us go into a dangerous place like this." Yan replies, "I have nothing to do with it. You chose to go into that place yourself." Layla interrupts them. "You're lucky we went in first. If some idiot like you had gone in before us, you'd have fallen under the influence of that illusion and died by now." Layla stands up and tells the 2 with her, "I don't want to deal with this person anymore." They leave him and walk away. Yan thinks about what happened. According to Layla and the others, as long as I don't look into the monster's eyes, I shouldn't fall under the influence of its illusion. In that case, I've found the way I'll deal with a monster like this. Yan then walks into the room, not looking at the place where the monster is. He goes up to the fan and turns it on. The fan starts spinning really fast with the monster hanging from it. The monster gets scared and yells at Yan, ordering him to turn off the fan right now. But Yan just stands there and doesn't do anything. Then a message pops up from the system, "You gain 20 defense points." Yan is happy when he hears this because he realized he managed to pierce the monster's defense this way. He keeps watching the monster as it spins on the fan. Yan says, I'll make a deal with you right now. I'll turn off the fan in exchange for us signing a contract. The monster gets furious at Yan's words. How dare you threaten me? Your threat is useless because I'm not afraid of you at all. Yan replies, well, if you don't want to sign the contract with me, the situation will stay just like this. And that's what happens. The monster's defense piercing percentage keeps rising until it reaches 88%, but it stops there and doesn't increase anymore. Yan talks to himself, I have to find another way to pierce this monster's defense completely. After a while, the monster can't take it anymore and says, I agree to contract with you, but turn off the fan now. Yan listens to him, I'll turn it off, but if you back out, I'll simply turn it on again. The monster replies, the air from the fan has made my eyes all dry. He asks him to go and get his eye drops from the cabinet before doing anything else. Yan listens to him again and goes to get what he wants from the medicine cabinet. The monster then says, as soon as I finish moisturizing my eyes, I'll contract with you right away. Yan throws the bottle to him, but he had already switched it because he knew the monster's intentions. When the monster puts the drops in his eye, he screams in pain and can't open it again. Yan says, oops, it looks like that bottle was expired. That's what caused this. The monster gets extremely angry at him. He screams in pain, how dare you do this? A message then comes to Yan from the system. The monster's defense has been pierced by 99%. Right then Yan speaks to the monster. Contract right now and I'll give you the real eye drops. At that moment, a message comes to the monster asking if he agrees to the contract between him and Yan. But the monster suddenly refuses, screaming, no, I will never agree to this contract. But he is shocked when he finds himself contracted with him anyway. The monster disappears immediately, turning into a red aura that enters Yan's eye. A message comes from the system, integration complete. Yan goes to a mirror, looks at himself, and says with his eye open, this new red eye look is amazing. Another message from the system, after you contract a monster, you can summon it for battle anywhere. Yan gives a malicious laugh. Since you'll be with me everywhere, I have to check your stats first. He smiles, his red eye glowing, and asks the system to show him the stats. But when he looks at the stats, he's shocked and disappointed to find that the loyalty of this monster named Tong is extremely low. Tong says, I don't have any loyalty to you because you forced this contract on me. At the same time, another message comes to him from the system. You have 200 defense points. You can exchange them for one skill for any of your monsters. Yan thinks for a moment, wondering if the loyalty will increase if he activates a new skill. Later, after thinking, he chooses to add the skill to the new monster. A message from the system, Monster Tong gained the skill Blood Eye. Yan is happy because his idea was right, and Tong's loyalty actually increased by 1%. Yan's big entrance. He then moves and leaves the room. As soon as he gets outside, he discovers that he can see all the monsters around him. He says, at first my vision was very limited, but I never expected my sight to improve like this when I contracted a monster. We then go to Layla, who is fighting a ghoul. She hits it and throws it far away, but she's angry because the ghoul keeps chasing them. She runs away quickly and tells everyone with her to run too. She informs them that there are a lot of ghouls and it will be hard for them to fight them alone. One of the guys replies, suggesting they use the transfer talisman because it would be better than getting eaten by ghouls right now. But his friend, Lee, the one with glasses, replies, I have a better plan. We could simply lead them all behind us to the second floor and let them fight Yan. Yan will buy us a lot of time to escape, and he has the transfer talisman anyway, so he can use it and won't get hurt. They all agree to the plan and run to carry it out, heading toward the second floor. As they're on their way, they run into Yan. When Yan sees them running so fast, he asks mockingly, are dogs chasing you or something? When they look behind them to see what's going on, they're shocked to see a group of ghouls chasing them. Yan realizes they were leading the ghouls to where he was to set a trap for him, but he doesn't care much. He stands in front of the ghouls and says, this is the perfect time to test my new technique. The three of them are surprised that he didn't run away. They think maybe he froze in his tracks out of fear and can't run. But what actually happens is Yan stands still in front of the ghouls. As soon as they approach him, he activates his skill and paralyzes them all. He then grabs a chainsaw and says, this new skill isn't bad at all. He immediately charges at the ghouls with a malicious laugh. It's a bad thing to be without feelings. In a second, he starts killing them all using the chainsaw. On the other side, the three of them have seen everything that happened and can't believe their eyes. Layla says, Yan's eyes are blood red. That means he managed to contract the monster we were fighting earlier, and the skill he used right now is a very rare skill. Her friend replies, but the monster we met was at least a mid-level. How could Yan contract it? We go back to Yan, who's still enjoying the fight he's having. Then he gets notifications from the system that his defense points have reached 40 points. Yan then looks at the others and says mockingly, thank you guys, because if you hadn't lured the ghouls, I wouldn't have been able to kill them. He continues, I have 5 monster beads now, this is great. Then he suddenly changes his expression and says with a terrifying look, "If I find out you intend to harm me again, I won't be able to forgive you." The three of them are scared to death when they see his face and apologize for what they did. Yan laughs, "I feel like I'm at the peak of my happiness right now." He then talks to his monster, Tong. "What do you think of what we did? We managed to deal with 5 ghouls all by ourselves." Tong replies, "What happened was only because of my skill and strength, nothing more. If you had contracted any other monster, you would never have been able to defeat 5 ghouls together." Yan replies, "The power of a monster contracted by a human is useless. It needs a strong master. Most people don't even have the guts to stand up to 5 ghouls at once. If you were alone, you wouldn't have been able to show your skill." Tong gets furious at his words. "You're narcissistic and full of yourself." Then, as they're walking, they reach a hallway full of human skeletons. This makes Yan feel sad for them, but he suddenly notices a golden coin in the hand of one of the skeletons. He immediately runs towards it, happy that he found something valuable in this test. He says mockingly, "Since you're all dead and won't be able to enjoy this money, I'll take care of it for you." He then looks at the hospital vault room next to him, wondering if there's money inside. He opens the door and goes to the vault, very excited, but unfortunately, as soon as he opens it, he finds it empty. He is shocked. Looks like this vault was robbed by monster warriors before. Meanwhile, the instructor who met them outside earlier is still watching them. He looks at what Yan is doing and says, "Is this student here to take the test or to collect money?" We return to Yan, who is walking with a bag of money in his hand. Just then, he gets a notification from the system. A very strong monster is in the operating room in front of you. Yan goes to the room to look inside and try to see the monster without it noticing him. He's shocked to find the monster looks exactly like a human. He asks Tong what a monster like this is doing here because she looks very peaceful. He wonders if she's here because her power is enormous. Tong replies, "She's definitely strong. If you don't believe me, you can listen to what I'm about to say." At that moment, the monster's expression changes completely. "Where have you and the other doctors in the hospital been? I've been waiting for you for a long time." She then asks him if they'll perform the surgery now. Yan replies, "Don't worry, we'll do the surgery for you. You just need to lie down on the operating table." The monster actually goes and lies down on the bed as he told her. Yan grabs a syringe and asks her if she's ready for the anesthesia now. The monster replies that she's ready. Yan stands in front of her with the syringe, but before he does anything, his conscience gets to him. He thinks, she really doesn't seem to realize she's dead. He wonders if he'll really be cruel enough to do what he's about to do, but in a split second, he shakes off all these thoughts. "I have to keep up the act I'm doing now or I'll die." In a second, he injects her arm with the syringe and asks her if it hurt, but the monster replies that she didn't feel any pain. Yan holds her arm again and says, "I have to hit the vein and I'll try again." This is the first time I've seen someone whose veins move out of place. He keeps injecting her all over her arm. The monster gets angry at him and yells, "Are you blind?" Yan apologizes, "I promise I'll hit the vein next time." But in reality, we discover that he's doing all this to pierce her defense. We see from the system that he has already pierced 50% of her defense. Just then, he holds her arm to inject her again. At that moment, 2 of the 5 students who came down with him are watching him, unable to believe what he's doing. This guy is so weird, performing surgery on a monster. The girl tells the guy with her, "The teacher told us before that the most dangerous thing you can do when fighting a monster is to make it fear you. If you do that and fight it head-on, you not only increase your chance of survival, but you also have a chance to make it contract with you." She then looks at him. "This student seems to understand everything and he'll get the highest scores among us." Her friend encourages her, "Come on, let's learn from him and go look for a monster to contract too." On the other side, the instructor is watching everything that's happening. Compared to the other students, Yan's personality is completely different. We return to Yan, who is still injecting the monster, unable to reach her vein. As soon as the monster gets bored with him, she says, "You can start the surgery right away. I don't need any anesthesia." Yan replies, "Okay, but what kind of surgery do you need?" Before she can even reply, he grabs the chainsaw he has and starts moving it around to disturb her. His main goal from all this is to piss her off so he can pierce her defense. He gets very happy when he finds that this method is effective, and he gets a message from the system. He successfully pierced 60% of her defense. Then he gets another idea. He starts asking her very stupid questions. The angrier she got, the more his defense piercing percentage increased. He then starts asking her many questions without waiting for her to answer, which makes her get angrier and angrier until she completely loses her temper. He has already pierced 99% of her defense. She immediately stands up angrily from the bed and orders him to finish. She activates her skill, Court of Death. Yan tries to calm her down. "Don't get too excited. We haven't even started the surgery yet." The monster replies, "I don't need any surgery anymore. I just want you dead." Yan laughs when he hears her words and activates his skill. I'm sorry if you're disappointed about the thing you were talking about. He then finally manages to sign the contract with her. At that moment, a mental message comes to the monster asking if she agrees to contract with him. But when the monster sees the message, she gets furious. How dare you think I might agree to contract with you? But as usual, before she finishes her sentence, the contract has already been made. This shocks her because she doesn't understand what happened. She screams at the top of her lungs as she enters Yan's eye. I don't agree to this. Yan has finally officially contracted with this monster. Yan looks at the mark on his hand. Unlike contracting with monster remnants, if I contract a full monster, it will form a tattoo on my hand. If I want to summon this monster, all I need to do is press the tattoo shape and the summon will happen. And now that I've contracted 2 monsters, I still have a chance to contract 1 more before I reach my limit. While Yan is thinking, the new female monster he contracted is standing behind him. She's clearly furious about what he did. She yells at him, ordering him to release her. But Yan smiles at her. Stay with me, there's no point in you staying outside. He then makes fun of her. You don't need to worry about any illness you have now because you'll always find the best doctor close to you. The monster gets even angrier at him when she hears this. Tong, on the other hand, is happy that there's a female monster with them. He tries to calm her down. Try to get used to it, this boy is always an idiot. Yan thinks to himself, it looks like because I saved the female monster from this dark hospital, she'll have good feelings towards me. Then he gets a message from the system. You now have 300 defense points. You can exchange 200 of them for 1 random skill. Yan thinks about the skill he'll get. I'll have to give it to either Tong or the other monster. After a while of thinking, he chooses to add the skill to the new monster. A message from the system. The female monster acquired the skill Sound of Life. This skill happens when the female monster uses her piano. It can distract the minds of humans or monsters who hear the piano sound for 40 seconds. This 40 seconds only happens if the monster or human is weaker than or the same strength as the female monster. But if the monster is stronger, it will only be distracted for 20 seconds. Yan is happy with this new skill because it's very strong. Although Tong's skill is hallucination and makes the enemy seem unable to move, the monster who falls under the influence of the skill can still use its mind. If it does that, it can control its own monster. But the female monster's skill is completely different. It can distract the mind. Since it does something like that, we can call it a magical skill. Yan then thinks, I have 3 points and I can contract 3 monsters with them. All I need now in the group is a monster that can cause damage to the opponent we'll face in the future. Yan gets excited and yells, I've decided. I want to contract a monster of the chosen or warrior class with high damage. Suddenly, as he's excited, he hears a voice on the hospital speakers saying that there's only 1 hour left until midnight. When that hour arrives, meals will be distributed according to the contracts. He continues, students who have contracted 2 or more monsters can enter the intensive care unit. Students who have contracted 1 monster can only enter the general ward, and students who couldn't contract any monsters won't enter any room at all. Finally, if you want to know the locations of the rooms, they are on the 5th floor. Before he finishes speaking, he gives them a couple of warnings. Warning number 1, the right to enter the room can be exchanged with another student or given to them as a gift. Warning number 2, very strong monsters will appear at midnight, and students who don't have any accommodation will be in severe danger. And by the way, there's only half an hour left before these monsters are released, so it would be better if you hurry up. The guy with glasses Lee gets very angry at Yan. You're full of talk. If you hadn't contracted crippled monsters like the ones you have now, you would be sleeping in the hallways. Layla also adds to her friend's words. Yan, you're just a stupid person, and the idea that I have to live a whole night with an idiot like you in the same room makes me sick. Yan ignores her. I want you to relax because I won't be staying in this ward tonight. When the long-haired girl standing in front of the door hears him, she calls out to him. Since you won't be staying in the ward tonight, you can trade your right to enter with me for money. Yan replies with a malicious laugh. No, because I won't be staying in this ward. I'm going to stay in the intensive care unit right now. Layla and Lee are shocked when they hear this. They say, impossible, you only have half a point and your maximum limit is to contract 1 crippled monster. The conditions for entering the intensive care unit require contracting more than 1 monster. Then they get angry at him. You're messing around, you're not qualified. Yan says to Layla and Lee, the food I'm eating right now is delicious. It's even better than fast food. I wish you could come in now to try it with me. He suddenly stops and says, oh, I forgot you don't have the authorization to enter the intensive care unit. He turns his back on them and continues eating. Unfortunately, I'll have to finish this food by myself. At the same time, the 2 of them are clearly furious with him, but he keeps eating happily until he gets a message from the system saying he gained new defense points. Layla then speaks to him angrily. Trade rooms with me, I'll give you $10,000 right now. Yan replies, how can I do that when I've already eaten the whole plate in front of me? He asks her if she wants him to throw up all the food from his stomach. Layla replies, "Keep the food for yourself. I just want you to switch rooms now. It's best for you to think carefully before you answer. My father is the chief guard in Peru City, and things won't be good for you if you keep insulting me like this." Lee interrupts the conversation. He yells at Yan, "How dare you insult Layla?" Yan stands up and stands in front of both of them. He says to Layla, "I might consider it, but only if you slap him across the face." Lee gets angry at his words, but Layla stops him. "Let me slap you now. I'll compensate you for the slap later." Lee closes his eyes at that moment and stands in front of her. He thinks to himself, "Even though I feel a bit insulted right now, I might get the Sun family's blessing when I get out. In the end, this insult is worth the risk." Layla goes and slaps him. At that moment, a message comes to Yan from the system saying he gained 20 defense points. Yan talks to them. "Unfortunately, I'm not satisfied with this light slap. I didn't hear the sound of the slap because I don't hear very well." Lee gets extremely angry at him. "Stop bullying others." But before he finishes his sentence, Layla gives him a hard slap and Yan gains 30 more defense points. She then turns to Yan. "I did what you wanted, now get out of the room quickly." But she is shocked when Yan refuses. She talks to him and yells, "You're supposed to keep the promise you made." Yan replies, "I didn't break my promise. I told you I would think about it after you did that. Now that I've thought about it, I've decided that I can't possibly leave this ward." Layla is at her wit's end and furious with his actions, but she leaves him and walks away. "You'll regret what you did very soon in the future." Yan then continues to eat his meal happily because he humiliated and angered them, and he also gained 100 defense points from them. After a while, time passes and we reach midnight. We see the girl and the guy still standing in the hallway in front of the room. As soon as the guy Kun hears the clock strike, he goes to enter the ward too, but the girl with him stops him. "How can you walk away and leave a girl alone in the hallway at night?" Kun replies, "And what am I supposed to do if monsters appear in the hallway right now?" Meanwhile, Yan is sitting and hearing the whole conversation between them. We see the girl, who we now know as Kun's girlfriend Zyara or Zia, talking to him. "If you love me, you should actually keep your promise to protect me. Basically, your chance of survival will be greater because you're already contracted with a monster, but I'm not contracted with any monster. If I stay, I'll have to beg Layla and her friends to save me." At this point, Kun can't take it anymore. He decides that he will give her the ward and stay outside. Yan inside is surprised by this person's stupidity and that he actually switched with her. After some time passes, we go to Yan, who is sleeping in his bed, very comfortable. On the other hand, Layla and the others can't sleep because all the beds are covered in blood. We see that Layla is still angry about what happened because of Yan. Lee talks to her. "That student must have cheated to be able to enter the intensive care unit room. Someone like him doesn't deserve to be in a comfortable place like this. I believe the reason he refused to switch rooms with you was just because he wanted to annoy you, nothing more." Layla replies angrily, "Let's just get out of here and I won't let him know what life is like." She then looks at the bed, holding her nose because of the smell. "How can we sleep on a bed like this now?" Lee takes off his jacket. "I can spread my clothes on the bed." After he puts the jacket down, he says, "The place looks a bit cleaner now." Layla is very happy when she sees he did this. "You still have some decency, unlike the jerk we met a while ago." We then go to the hallway in front of the room and see the student Kun sitting on the floor looking at his watch. He thinks to himself, "If I can endure a little longer until the light of day appears, I'll be free again." But suddenly, as he's sitting, he hears the sound of a monster coming from the beginning of the hallway. We learn that this monster is very strong. Its name is the Chainsaw Monster, and it's a spirit soul level monster. Kun is terrified of its power. He thinks to himself, "There's no escape now except to fight it." He immediately gets ready to summon the hammer monster he had contracted. As soon as his monster comes out, it looks at him disappointedly. "Looks like you won't even let me sleep, even at midnight." It then looks behind him and is shocked when he sees the chainsaw monster in front of him. Kun says to him, "How can you think I can defeat a monster like that?" Kun replies, "We have no choice now but to fight it or we'll die." The chainsaw monster tries to hit him with the chainsaw he has. "I want to eat human flesh." The hammer monster steps in at the right time and manages to block his attack. Meanwhile, all the students in the room are watching the fight, terrified. The person with Layla turns to the girl sitting on the bed. "Shouldn't the one outside be your boyfriend?" When the girl hears this, she immediately covers her face with the blanket. "I have nothing to do with him." Everyone in the room looks at her unpleasantly because they heard her conversation. Then they are shocked to see Yan getting up and walking toward the fight. As he walks, he asks himself if the chainsaw monster is worth contracting. We return to the fight, where we see the chainsaw monster using his leg to knock Kun's monster to the ground. He then presses down hard, using his chainsaw to cut off its arm. Then he eats it, but after the first bite he throws it away. Monster flesh is not delicious at all. He then gets angry and keeps bringing the chainsaw down with all his might. I want human flesh. Finally, he cuts off the monster's head and throws it on the ground. The severed head falls in front of Yan, who's standing in front of it confidently and happily. It's amazing that he managed to eliminate the monster with just one strike. He continues. The chainsaw monster seems very strong because he not only has a lot of health points, but his offensive power is also not weak at all. He thinks to himself, I now have the illusion of the blood eye monster and I also have the dizziness of the female monster. All I need now is strength, so it would be great if I could contract this chainsaw monster. But despite that, there might be other monsters hidden in the fog now. It would be better if I wait until the morning. We return to the monster who, after finishing off the hammer monster, heads to the place where Kun is. I want human flesh. Kun is terrified by the sight in front of him and is about to die from fear. He keeps calling out to his girlfriend Zia to tell everyone to come out and save him. But meanwhile, it becomes clear that Zia is ignoring him, hiding under the blanket. Kun loses hope in her. He screams, speaking to the rest of the people, someone come out and save me now. The monster then steps forward and attacks him with his chainsaw, but Kun manages to dodge it at the last moment. He then tries to quickly escape from the monster between its legs, but he is surprised when the monster reads his movement and kicks him. Kun hits the wall, and at that moment he starts bleeding from the force of the blow. The monster then approaches him as he lies on the ground, uses his chainsaw and cuts off his arm. Kun screams from the intensity of the pain and falls to the ground. The monster grabs his arm and starts eating it, enjoying himself greatly. Meanwhile, Kun is still alive and trying to collect himself. He pulls out the transfer talisman from his pocket, but he can't tear it with just one hand. The monster attacks him again after finishing eating his arm. I want more flesh. In a second, he comes down on him with the chainsaw, but Kun manages to dodge his blow. Then he sees Yan talking to him. You can tear the talisman with your mouth, you idiot. Kun actually listens to all his words and doesn't waste time. He tears the talisman with his teeth and thanks him for the advice. But the monster is already standing over him and attacks him with the chainsaw with all his might. But suddenly, he is shocked when he looks at the ground and finds that Kun is not there at all. At that moment, he loses his temper and yells angrily, I want my flesh now. Meanwhile, a message comes from the system. You gained 40 defense points because you managed to anger the monster. Yan then stands at the door of his room and makes weird faces with his face and hand to provoke the monster more. He actually succeeds in doing that and makes the monster run toward him, furious. I will kill you now. But as soon as the monster reaches the room, he can't do anything because his weapon can't penetrate the barrier. Yan then remembers the food in his room. He gets some, puts it on his hand, and goes to the monster to provoke him again. When the monster smells the delicious food, he completely loses control and presses his face against the barrier, desperate to eat Yan's hand. But Yan then removes his hand and provokes him more. I feel sorry for you because you can't eat me. At this point, the monster gets very angry and keeps trying to break the barrier in front of him with all the strength he has. Unfortunately, everything he does is useless, and all his anger benefits only Yan. That's because he gets another message from the system. You gained 60 more defense points. After some time, the monster finally gives up and walks away. Looks like I won't be able to eat flesh today. This shocks Yan. Where are you going? I won't be able to gain more points if you leave. But none of this matters to the monster. Yan thinks to himself, if I wait until morning, this monster will grab Yan and cut him up. Just then, his friend next to him interrupts his thoughts, screaming, look for yourself. Yan is chasing the monster. Lee looks at him, astonished and unable to believe what's happening in front of him. Yan is indeed running after the chainsaw monster. Don't run away from me, come back now. But the monster doesn't listen and keeps running. Yan thinks to himself, the monster's defense piercing has reached 80%. I can never let him escape from my grasp after reaching this point. He runs quickly until he reaches right next to the monster. He holds out his hand. My arm tastes very delicious. The monster looks at Yan's arm, unable to believe there's flesh next to him, but he gets very angry at him. I've lost my patience with you. He raises his chainsaw to hit him with it, but before the chainsaw touches his head, Yan activates Tong's skill and makes the monster freeze in his tracks, unable to move. He then keeps bringing his hand closer to the monster's mouth. Why don't you want to eat my arm? It tastes delicious and is full of flesh. Meanwhile, Yan successfully enjambs the monster more and breaks his defense to 90%. Then the effect of the illusion wears off. It only lasts 10 seconds on very strong monsters. As soon as the time ends, the monster continues from where he stopped, bringing his weapon down and breaking the ground. Yan keeps making fun of him. It's a disaster that you don't want to eat at all. The monster looks at him completely fed up, having lost his temper with anger filling his whole body. At that moment, Yan has already succeeded in what he's doing, breaking the monster's defense to 99%. He then talks to him and asks him to contract with him. Meanwhile, the monster hears a voice telling him that Yan is asking to contract with him. Immediately, the voice replies to the monster, saying that the contract has been successfully completed. The monster stands there bewildered, not understanding what happened. But I didn't agree to anything. In a second, he transforms and enters Yan's eye, appearing as a chainsaw drawing. At this time, the instructor supervising the test is flying outside the hospital, watching Yan and what he's doing. He says to himself in surprise, how could the chainsaw monster be so angry and agitated? And then Yan immediately contracts with him. He continues, even the chief of security couldn't sign a contract like that. How did this student manage to do it? He smiles. This student seems really interesting. He then talks to the rest of the students on the hospital speakers and informs them that the chainsaw monster has been eliminated. He also tells them that there are only 3 more spirit soul level monsters left. He asks them to be careful. At this point, everyone in the room is shocked by what they heard. They say, impossible, Yan couldn't have defeated him. He can only contract half a monster. Yan then enters the room in front of them. As soon as he arrives, he gets a message from the system that he gained 40 more defense points. Yan smiles to himself. These people here are really good colleagues. All I do is ignore them and they keep bringing me defense points so easily. He then enters the intensive care unit ward and opens the chainsaw monster's stats. He's shocked to find that its loyalty is only 5%. He says to himself, his loyalty is very low, but that's not a problem. The chainsaw monster is impulsive and temperamental, and I can deceive him easily. He continues, I can simply buy him meat and give it to him after he finishes his mission. This way, his loyalty will rise continuously. At this moment, he gets very happy because he remembers something. Goblins can only activate 1 skill, but for monsters like the chainsaw monster, he can activate 2 skills. I now have a lot of defense points, and it's time to use them all. Yan actually exchanges the points he has and gains 2 new skills for the chainsaw monster. The 2 skills are named Bloodthirst and Chainsaw Dance. Yan is happy again because he finds that the effects of these 2 skills are very good. I now have fighters in my monster squad who can resist damage and cause damage. Right now, my fighting power has definitely increased by at least 90% compared to before. But the only downside I have now is that I can only control the spirits I've contracted. But for a type of monster like the chainsaw monster, it will be a bit difficult to deal with him. And if any mistake happens in controlling him, he might attack me and hurt me. He then thinks, but this won't be a problem if his loyalty is high, but for a monster like the chainsaw monster, it will be difficult. He finishes his thought. I now have to increase my control abilities over the monsters as soon as possible. He then feels extremely tired because of his fight with the chainsaw monster. He immediately yawns and goes to sleep on the bed. Time passes and we return to Yan after daylight breaks. We see him leaving his room, eating happily after a deep sleep. As soon as he comes out, he sees Layla walking in front of him, holding her stomach from hunger. Yan calls out to her, if you haven't had breakfast yet, you can eat the food I have inside. Layla gets very angry at him and chooses to continue on her way without replying to him. Despite that, Yan laughs because he gained 60 defense points after angering her. At this moment, the long-haired girl wakes up and is surprised to find everyone looking at her with disgust. She talks to them, asking if she did anything. Yan replies angrily, Kun's blood is covering the hallway floor outside, and you still have the audacity to speak like this. The girl replies, I didn't even contract half a monster so I could save him. Besides, he was the one who volunteered and allowed me to stay in his room. That's a good thing. Yan replies to her angrily again, but you told him yesterday that you would beg us if danger occurred so we could save him. And as I recall, you didn't utter a single word when he was in danger yesterday. In the end, remember, if Kun hadn't given you the right to enter the room, he wouldn't have lost his arm yesterday and you would have failed the test. He then leaves her and walks away, looking at her with disgust. From now on, you'll take care of the next part of the test entirely on your own. At this moment, the supervisor talks to all the students. The battle phase of the test has now begun. He tells them, there is currently 1 mid-level monster spirit and 3 spirit soul-level monsters that will hunt you down. If you can stay alive until noon, you will be considered successful in the test. Layla is scared when she hears this. Yan's chainsaw monster yesterday was very strong. If there are really other monsters like him, we won't be able to fight them. That's because all the monsters we've contracted are low-level monsters. Even if we cooperate and gather together, we still won't be able to stand up to them. Meanwhile, her friend suggests they just run away. But Layla replies, where will we run? We don't know their location and we don't know the places here. We might accidentally enter their lair. At this point, the long-haired girl Zia interrupts the conversation. So what are we supposed to do? Layla replies to her angrily, don't group yourself with us. We have nothing to do with you. On the other side, Yan is standing, looking towards the girl. He's very scared because there's an invisible monster behind her. He says to himself, judging by their reaction now, it seems I'm the only one who sees this monster. The reason for that might be the blood eye I have. To confirm his words, he covers the eye with the ability, and he actually can't see the monster. He then thinks it looks like this monster hides itself and sneaks up behind people without them noticing. He then talks to the long-haired girl. If you want to know the location of the monster the teacher talked about, I'd like to tell you that it's behind you right now. The girl replies, annoyed, how do you have the guts to joke at a time like this? The group also replies to him, you're really a boring person. Suddenly, as they are talking, a hand with a plank penetrates the girl's stomach. They are all shocked because they see a hole in her stomach, but they don't see any monster. The girl herself is terrified, screaming in pain and not knowing what caused the sound. Meanwhile, the monster grabs her whole body and starts choking her with all its might. At that moment, Layla and Lee are very scared. Why is this monster acting like this? But their friend is surprised by what they're saying. Where is the monster anyway? Suddenly, in the blink of an eye, the monster cuts off her neck and body. Zyara is thrown to the ground in 3 pieces. When the students see this, they can't believe what happened in front of them. Amidst their astonishment, the supervisor announces that the student Zyara is out of the test. Yan talks to himself. If Zyara hadn't been selfish, she would have only lost her arm yesterday, but now she lost her whole life because of her selfishness. That's why I shouldn't feel sorry. He then looks at Layla and her friends. I told you there was a monster, but you didn't believe me. He immediately leaves them and runs to escape from these monsters. He thinks to himself, as long as I have the blood eye, I can easily see the monster's location. And now that I'm only required to stay alive until noon, there's no need for me to engage in any fights against them. We then go to Layla, who is trying to process what happened. She says to herself, the one who did that must have been an invisible monster. Lee is surprised by her words, so how did Yan manage to see him? She replies, it must be because of the red eye he has. She then runs and talks to them. Let's catch up to him and follow him quickly because that's the best thing we can do now. They then follow him. Lee is very angry. He thinks to himself hatefully, we were the ones who discovered the blood eye monster first. Despite that damned Yan is the one who contracted it. We return to Yan, who is surprised when he gets a message from the system saying he gained 40 defense points. He wonders to himself, why is the system giving me new defense points when I didn't do anything? By the way, for those who don't know, he always gets these defense points when he makes someone angry. Meanwhile, he hears the sound of footsteps running behind him. When he looks to see who it is, he finds Layla and the 2 with her chasing him. He gets very annoyed. How did you manage to catch up to me? He gets more annoyed when he finds that the invisible monsters are following them too. He thinks to himself, I have to find a solution to get rid of these people quickly so I don't get into trouble with the monsters later. At this moment, he finds the chainsaw monster's aura coming out of his body. The chainsaw monster says, I will kill that monster over there. Yan is surprised and asks him if there was hostility between him and this monster before. The chainsaw monster replies, he always took a lot of meat from me. Yan then sees the chainsaw monster's aura trying to leave him to attack the monster. He quickly thinks to himself, if the chainsaw monster's loyalty doesn't increase soon, it will be a big problem for me. He then says, I guess I have to help him and kill that invisible monster with him so that his loyalty will be all for me. In an instant, he stops and turns his body in the opposite direction from the one he was running in. This makes Layla stop too, because she thinks the monster left them. Yan replies to her mockingly, if you keep running until 12 o'clock, you definitely don't know what might happen to you from all the running. The person with them replies, that's the best solution we can do now. If you can actually see the monster, you can guide us and we'll compensate you after we get out of the test. Yan replies to him mockingly again and refuses his request. I'm sorry, but I'd rather run, and it will be easier for me to just kill them. They are all shocked when they hear his words. Layla says, you clearly want to die. The invisible monster is a mid-level monster, and even the teachers in our school might have a very difficult time killing him. Lee replies to her words, trying to stop her. Let's watch the fight from a distance. If he dies, it will be better for us because no one will compete with you for the best student in the test anymore. At this point, Yan steps forward and goes toward the monster, who is also heading toward him. The monster jumps at him. At the same time, we go to the teacher's observation room. They are all bored because all the students in their classes have either died or run away from the test due to extreme fear. A teacher then turns and asks the teacher Lee about the situation of her students. Teacher Lee replies, I still have 4 students alive. The student in front of us could have passed the test easily. Despite that, he chose to fight against a spirit soul level monster. All the teachers are surprised by her words and go to watch his fight. One of them says, the test's battle phase is usually about running away, so how did a normal high school student like this choose to fight a spirit soul level monster? The teacher sighs at that moment and feels sorry for Yan. We return to him and the fight. We see the invisible monster trying to attack him, but Yan quickly uses his blood eye to try to limit his movement. But he doesn't have time to do anything because the monster suddenly disappears from in front of him and appears behind him due to its speed. But suddenly, the monster changes his direction again and runs toward him from behind to destroy him. He gets closer to him with his claw until he reaches the closest point possible. On the other side, the three people standing and watching close their eyes. They say that it's over now because he underestimated the power of the spirit soul. The third person with them then starts to open his eyes slowly to see what happened. He gets very happy. Yan is still alive. When Layla and Lee open their eyes too, they can't believe the sight they are seeing. They see that Yan managed to use the female monster's skill he has and paralyzed the invisible monster's movement. Yan laughs. This chainsaw monster is simple. His like and dislike for any person depends on meat. After that, he will be easy to deal with. I just need to buy him some meat when I get out of the test. At this moment, Yan walks and takes the green bead that fell from the invisible monster. He talks. There are thousands of monster spirit beads in the black market, and I might be able to get a good amount of money if I manage to sell this bead. He then dismisses his two monsters and continues on his way. On the other side, Layla and Lee can't believe what happened at all. They say he actually contracted two full and powerful monsters plus the half monster of the blood eye, and on top of that he managed to activate their skills in a short time. Layla is very upset at this moment. Yan's skill and comprehension have greatly exceeded his previous potential. If things continue like this, I will definitely lose my spot as class valedictorian forever. She then looks at him hatefully. She thinks to herself, I must not let him develop any further. We return to the observation room, where the teachers are shocked and can't believe that Yan managed to contract 3 monsters in one day. They also say that his growth rate is now comparable to that of the monsters in the military zone. Not only that, but they also talk about how he managed to activate their skills and made their understanding of these skills very good. A teacher then speaks, feeling embarrassed. He says to himself, I was very foolish because I thought he was just a reckless person for daring to fight the invisible monster so easily. But unfortunately, I was the one who turned out to be the clown, not him. Another teacher replies to him, out of all the students who took this general test, only 2 managed to do this. The first student is Yan, and the second student is the director's daughter, Jia, who managed to kill 2 spirit soul specters alone. Meanwhile, as they are talking, they suddenly hear the director's voice behind them. Who is the student you're talking about? When he learns that it's Yan, he talks to teacher Lee. Contact this student now, he tells them. We have to provide him with the best educational resources now to develop his level in the future. We return to Yan, who is standing on the hospital roof, watching the situation calmly. He says, every monster in this world has a different story and skills waiting for me to discover them myself. He continues, if I manage to contract all of them, it would be great to have a whole army of monsters. At that point, I will already be the strongest person in the world. After a while, the supervisor looks at his watch and announces the end of the time and confirms the test results. He tells them later that the student Kun actually failed the test. The student Yuan managed to contract a fierce monster and couldn't kill any monster, and his total score is 60. The student Lee managed to contract a fierce monster and kill 1 fierce monster, and his total score is 70. The student Layla managed to contract a strong monster and kill 2 monsters, and her total score is 80. Finally, the student Yan managed to contract 2 fierce monsters and also contract a spirit soul level monster. Besides that, he managed to eliminate 5 fierce monsters in addition to a spirit soul level monster. His total score is 90. Meanwhile, Lee and Layla are very angry when they hear this because Yan is the one who got the highest score among them. The teacher then congratulates him. You managed to be the best student in the test, and the prize is a green monster bead. Yan is very happy when he sees this. He thinks to himself, I now have 5 low-level monster beads, and I also have 1 mid-level monster bead. In addition to these, I have 1 more high-level monster bead. Now I can finally level up Tong, the spirit soul level monster, and also activate his second skill, which will be very useful. Yan then takes the bead and puts it with the rest of the things he has. This makes Lee and Yuan very surprised that he simply throws such a valuable bead into a trash bag, not valuing it at all. Meanwhile, the supervisor interrupts their conversation, congratulating the rest of the students on passing the test. He then prepares to activate the transfer talisman to return them to the school. Back to school and a twisted home. We then go to Yan's class teacher, who is very nervous because the students' return time is near. She keeps wishing that they all return safely, but she is suddenly shocked when she sees all the students in front of her, and most of them have serious injuries and are bleeding heavily. She immediately runs out of the classroom, yelling at the doctors in the school to come and treat them quickly. A full team of doctors immediately comes to treat these students, and the teacher counts them. Only 20 students managed to pass this test, and all of them had serious injuries. She then looks for Yan and is surprised that he managed to get out of the level A test while still alive. She runs to him quickly, worried. She asks him if he was hurt anywhere on his body. She then doesn't give him a chance to reply at all. You must be suffering from nervous shock after seeing the monsters. Yan replies to her, opening the window. Nothing happened to me and I was the best student in this test. The teacher is shocked by what she heard and doesn't believe him, even after she goes and reads the results on the screen. She then hits him hard on the back. You really deserve to be my student. I can say now that you're the student I predict the most brilliant future for. Yan looks at her in surprise when he sees her behavior. He says in his heart, you seem to have forgotten how you treated me in the past weeks. Meanwhile, the teacher notices the bag he has and asks him about it. Yan replies, these are things I collected from the hospital. The teacher is even more surprised when she sees this. She says to herself, a normal student passing this test is a huge thing, but for someone to pass it and then have time to walk around the hospital and take the belongings of dead people is something else. Yan then goes out to his family, who are very proud of him. His mother says, no one in the village can say anything about you anymore. But here we notice something strange about his father's appearance. He is carrying a scythe covered in blood. He talks to Yan. If you need money, tell me, because I just sold this wheat harvest a few days ago. Yan thanks him. I already collected good money from this test, and you two look tired from working all day, so I'll let you rest for a bit. His father then hangs up the phone. He tells his wife Shan, Yan has really grown up and started to feel sorry for us. At this moment, the scene changes, and we see Yan's father, Lan, and his mother, Shan, standing amidst a large group of human heads, holding scythes covered in blood. But it appears that one of these people is still alive. He threatens Yan's father, Lan, yelling and insulting him. The chief of security will never let you get away with what you did. Lan gets very angry at him. He immediately cuts off his head with his scythe. Your security office will all be eliminated very soon. He then talks to his wife, Shan. This is the 7th team we've eliminated this year. He asks her if she thinks the security office knows. Here ends part 1. Wait for us in part 2 very soon, and until then, see you later.